Welcome to Fieldsports Britain. I'm George Digweed. Coming up in this week's show, buck fever. It's the 1st of August and we're out after some of the big fallow. Captain Combine. We're shooting rabbits from a combine harvester as they bolt from the rape. But first, it's me showing Kent and England cricketer Rob Key on how not to walk when he's hit something.
George is having a spectacular year, competing and winning all over the world. He is truly on top of his game. But when he gets home, there's the chance to catch up with friends while still keeping on top of the pigeons, foxes and rabbits. Today he's sharing a hide and swapping a few insults with his good friend, fellow professional sportsman, Kent County cricket captain and Sky Sports pundit, Rob Key. They've known each other for about 6 years.
He thinks he's better than he actually is. But he's getting better. But then I suppose really and truly you couldn't have got a lot worse. He turned up on one of the pheasant days we ran and I sort of had to spend most of the day telling him what was right and wrong, which, having watched him over the last few years, was a complete waste of my breath. But he enjoys it, and it's nice when people are enthusiastic and they enjoy it. It's nice to help them.
Rob admits that country life and field sports are a million miles from his upbringing, but he's been bitten by the bug.
And I'm very lucky because I then went and got a gun, and George has taken me out ever since, really. And from a cricket, it's like going out, well, they probably hear this sadly, but it's like going out with Tendulkar, isn't it, and teaching you how to bat. So, not that he teaches me anything. It's obviously different, but it's quite a similar thought process as batting. You know, batting's all about having a technique and having a good enough technique that you can just trust in your hand-eye. And shooting's the same, because the odd occasion when I've shot well, you don't think about it, you just shoot it, and you know, you miss a few obviously, but you know you're in a bit of a zone. And then when you shoot badly, as when you're not batting very well, you're thinking about it too much, and mentally it's exactly the same almost. That's why I sort of can relate to it a little bit, I think.
So you've had a pretty steep learning curve then?
Yeah, no, I reckon for the first 2 years we must have gone pigeon shooting and pheasant shooting with George, and he wouldn't tell me anything. And then about a year ago, he actually sat in a high with me and gave me a lesson, and it was amazing, really. And then I have the odd day when I shoot well, and he never tells me I've shot well. And then when I shoot badly, he tells me every time. And he's desperate for me to shoot badly today, there's no doubt about that.
Before the insults really start flying, George gets the field set up as he likes it. Fluttering bin bags to keep the birds filtering down the valley towards the hide. Rob admits that with the pressures of playing at a high level, it's good to be able to switch off.
Look, for me, playing cricket, obviously my job, and being captain and stuff like that, and there's so much, you spend your whole time thinking about it really, and when you're going badly as a team or whatever, it's very hard to get away from. Whereas this, I can have a day where I don't really think about anything, which is much the same why people go fishing and all that. I grew up in London, and I never thought I'd get into field sports and the countryside. Now, since meeting George, I've ended up moving to the country, and I even nearly convinced my wife to buy like a Hilux or something, but I didn't get away with it. So we got a Freelander.
But what about George? He's taking a rest from his day job, shooting by shooting.
Yeah, I mean, you know, today we're shooting a few pigeons. We're actually shooting them on a rape stubble. The pigeons have been doing some damage on some wheat. In fact, there's still quite a lot on the wheat. The majority of the pigeons aren't on this rape stubble. And I don't get huge amounts of pleasure shooting pigeons at this time of year because they're still breeding, but you know, sometimes you have to do a job. They are a pest as well as a sporting species. You know, they are probably the finest game bird we've got, but they are still an agricultural pest as well. So you have to do a job as well as, you know, look at them as a sporting quarry. And we've been waiting probably longer than we should have done for the rape to come off. so that we can shoot them and actually pick them up, because one of my big grudges in people's shooting careers are shooting stuff and then just leaving them in the field. I mean, that's unforgivable. And you know, we had a recent incident where a certain person who should be nameless shot a load of pigeons and left them in the field. And you know, for me, I don't think they should have shotgun certificates if they're going to just shoot stuff and leave them lying around.
George sets out the pattern while Rob is assigned to putting out the whirlies, but the ground is as hard as an Australian cricket pitch. With everything set up, Rob and George take their places. They're hidden from the birds, but not the sun, and Rob applies the factor 30 like any self-respecting cricketer.
Pardon?
George, however, doesn't feel the need.
Just get on with it.
As Rob is accused of standing on his gun, George opens his account with a bird that comes straight into the decoys. It's going to be a productive day. The next customer is coming in low. Over to Rob. Looks like it could be a maiden over. You get the feeling that George is going to enjoy Rob's misses as much as his own strikes. And with the next woody, David behind the camera starts to feel the pressure too.
I hope you got that one on.
If I get my first one, then I know I'm gonna have a good day. When I miss, now I'm starting to feel under pressure. And when you've got his evil eye over you, it makes it even worse.
Rob enjoys the shotgun, but what about rifles? His teammate Martin van Jaarsveld is in the neighbouring field, and growing up in South Africa, he has made the move from rifle to shotgun.
I am, but I've never done it. He let me have a go once at a rabbit, which I missed, so then he's not let me have it back since. But this for me is, you know, pigeon shooting. If you have a good day, when they come all day, it's as good as anything, I think.
George and Rob are knocking down some really testing birds. To show just how far away they are, here's some shots from George's perspective. And here's the world through Lara the Labrador's eyes. After another dozen birds, George and Rob tidy up the pattern. Time to ask George about his phenomenal year.
You know, it was a year better than any year probably I've ever had. To start off in New Zealand, win in New Zealand, go to South Africa, win in South Africa, come back, shoot 100 straight in France, go to America, win the World English in America, the Triple Classic, a couple of 5-stand events, you know, compete in everything really, and then go from America straight to Russia, win the Grand Prix in Russia. You know, I mean, I just can't ask for any more. And at the end of the day, you know, you can't keep that sort of form going indefinitely. And I feel as though I've just come off the top now. I just don't feel as though it's 100% quite right. And but that's only the fact that I've put so much in early doors. There's no petrol left in the tank. But I mean, these boys do it all the time. They're out drinking until 4 o'clock in the morning, and then they get up and go and play cricket. So what do you expect?
We think Rob needs to defend his profession at this point.
It's not so much physical exhaustion, it's more like mentally doing the same thing every day, days in the field, just travelling around a lot and stuff like that. You get a few days off, but to be honest with you, we get more time off than anyone else, than any other profession almost. You get 6 months off in the winter unless you're playing for England, and it's the best life that I could have, really. You know, and when you're in it, a lot of players moan about too much cricket, things like that. But actually, you're doing something you did as a kid, you know, for fun all the time, and a sense of perspective always makes life a bit easier, I think, because players do tend to think it's a bit tougher than what it is, I reckon. And speak to some people who up in the city, up at 5 o'clock every morning, and 2 weeks holiday a year. I mean, it gets a lot better than that, I know that for sure.
Back to shooting, and George is extending his reach into the neighbouring county.
It's not often you shoot one in Kent lands in Sussex.
Poor Lara has to treat the day like a marathon and not a sprint. But then Rob tries to conceal his pleasure when he hits a good bird. What a marvellous delivery that was.
Look at that stupid grin coming again. He just can't take it off his face, can he?
I was trying to be humble then.
This evening, Rob will be heading off to Sky Sports TV studios in West London to chat about the edited highlights of the Test match against India. Then in full flow, with England making mincemeat of the world's #1 side. We too have edited highlights of our day, some of it shooting, most of it insults exchanged in the pigeon hide.
Not that one, you just blow my eardrums out, you donut. Another miss.
It actually doesn't get better than this, though, does it? Do you see that? I got trapped in the hide.
You find out with a cricket ball, when it gets smaller, it's going away from you.
Oh, did you get that one? Arguably, though, you are one of the greatest shots of this era.
Who said that?
You.
Just before we go, for all you scorecard nuts, the day's tally or innings was 147, not out.
From protecting crops to cutting them, we're riding shotgun on a combine.
The crops have survived desert-like conditions, rabbits and pigeons, but now it's time to safely gather in. Andy has his trusty steed, a class combine, and for today a wingman. Sporting shooter chef Mark is going to be riding high with his Maxus semi-auto to sort out the rabbits as they make for the field margins. Driven game, but not as you know it. So, what's the plan, gentlemen?
Well, the plan is we've got a bit of 16 acres of rope here we're just going to cut. It's on our boundary. I can shoot the rabbits on my ground, no problem at all. But when rabbits are coming from next door, well, I'm not allowed to shoot. This is quite a good way of doing it, sir. And rabbits spend a lot of time in the rope. They love it. They're undercover all the time. It's like being in a bush. So Mark is at a loose end today, so he's come up. And the plan is I'm going to cut from the right-hand side where the rabbits are going to go to. Cut from the right-hand side, push the rabbits over to this side. Gives Mark more time to shoot the rabbits. That's the plan with a shotgun.
So Mark, bit of driven game today.
It is really nice to be doing the only form of driven game shooting that I can do, and I can use my 5-shot auto without breaking the law, which is also good news for me. It's nice to be on Andy's ground because I'm with an expert in his field.
He'll probably need all 5 shots to shoot each rabbit, but still, that's the way it goes.
As long as they're dead, that's all those farmers.
That's all. I don't care how you shoot them, Mark, as long as they are dead.
The wheat price is high at the moment, isn't it, Andy?
It is.
I can tell by your smile. About 220 a tonne, isn't it?
No, it's not that much at the moment. It's dropped at the moment, but it will come back up.
Positioning of the guns, where's the best place?
What I should probably do today, have one walking up alongside the combine. There's a lot come out beside the combine, and there's a lot come out behind the combine. For the first few runs round, Mark will probably see how it goes. Mark might sit up in the combine. You get plenty of time anyway, so you can sit up in the combine. Gun will be unloaded, and you've got loads of time. You just jump out and load up and either shoot off the combine. But if he's not happy with that, he can walk alongside. Well, by his stomach, he needs to do the walking anyway, so he's getting quite fat. So he'll probably end up doing a bit of walking. So
If you could cook like me, Crow, you'd be as fat as me. What choke would you use, Crow?
I've got a wife that cooks for me.
Mark puts the Browning together, and if it can function in this filthy state, he thinks one of the gun's nifty tricks might come into its own.
I haven't washed it out with seawater yet, so I don't know how well it's going to do with that test.
Well, the amount of shit that's in there, Mark, I think it'll be alright, mate.
That's 150 pigeons yesterday. 147 I got.
What was you shooting with? Black powder?
No, those big cartridges we used.
Man, look at the shit in there, boy.
That's all right. You should have seen the feathers in the field.
Get a bit of rape straw and dig it out.
Whoa, don't mess it up.
Look at the shit in there, man. If that's still cycles with all that shit in there, that ain't a bad gun, I'll tell you.
Have you got any WD-40?
No, I've got some gearbox, or?
Well, is that good for guns or not?
No.
It's quite well. I tell you
I'll
what.
tell you
for
what,
today,
if that cycle's all right with that,
tell you what you can do with it. You can load the thing up and have the thing on like that, with it open. This will be useful for today.
Yeah.
You walk out. If you do that,
yeah,
it drops just round back and it's loaded. You just put.
Give us a demo.
Chuck us some cartridges.
Right.
Now we'll find out whether it does it when it's clean or not. Hang on.
Right. Show me that again. So you can have that loaded.
So
That's like that.
Put it up there like that.
Fully safe.
So it's safe. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting in the combine like that.
Yeah.
Out pops a rabbit. I think that's a neat trick, don't you?
That's good. That's good. That's the thing with autos.
Safety.
You've got to have one up the spout, and with the breaders, you've got to push a button on the side to get them out. Yeah, that looks good. I like that.
That's a clever idea, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is clever.
All you flick that button, bounce, and you're away.
The Maxus has been used and abused like all Mark's other kit, apart from his pots and pans, which incredibly are always spotless. Time for a spin in the combine. This rape field should take a couple of hours to cut, so Mark's friend Ian makes himself comfortable and mentally prepares himself for the glut of rabbits that are bound to be tucked up in the crop. And Mark keeps clean in the cab as Andy works his way into the centre of the field. With a few rabbits becoming evident, Mark takes up the position. Riding high, he has a great view of anything bolting from the cover. Unfortunately, the crop promises much, but delivers little, apart from giving Mark a good dusting.
Well, at least we know that the Maxus will cycle when covered in lots of rape dust. It's whether I'll cycle with lots of rape dust on me. Look at that. We haven't even done half the field. There's quite a lot of rabbits in there, but they keep running back into the bit that hasn't been cut yet. So I've got 4 rats as well. That's what I've shot so far, 4 rats. One of them did take 3 shots and it wasn't moving, which is not that impressive for someone that shoots every day.
That last strip would be fun.
Well, yeah, you can see them running in front of the header and they're bolting in, but I don't think it'll be long now before they start bolting out. So yeah, the last strip's always the best one. I think on the last, as we get smaller and smaller, I'll go in front of the combine and we'll get Ian, my friend, to go behind the combine, because sometimes they'll wait for the combine to go past and then go out behind it and run for the headland. So there's quite a lot of rabbits, stop holes dug in the rape. So there must be some rabbits in there, and we keep seeing them running in front of the combine header, so hopefully it could be good. It is dusty up there though. Is my face black?
Yeah.
Oh good. Do I have little goggle marks?
Totally.
I mean, next time I'm going to wear, I should have worn those ski goggles I got in the car. In fact, I'm going to go and put those ski goggles on. Things I do for my sponsors. What do you reckon?
What?
That's going to stop the soot going in my eyes.
Yeah.
Because that.
I'm seeing it. I don't know how you're doing it.
I've got a cooking job on tonight. I am going to have a bath, otherwise they're going to
have to.
Look at that.
Eventually, Mark gets a few shots off. However, with the amount of standing crop diminishing rapidly, the bag is going to be pretty small. At least the barn is going to be full. It's been a fun couple of hours for Captain Combine, so what's his assessment of his driven day?
Yeah, I think unfortunately there was just too many foxes in there. We saw 4 foxes come out of there. I think they must have gone round and round and round and pushed all the rabbits out. That's certainly what Andy reckons. But there'll be some consolation, because I shouldn't think those foxes will be alive by the weekend, because Crow will come and get them either tonight or tomorrow night. So there we go. It's a bit unfortunate my friend's come all the way down from Inverness and he's shot sort of 10 pigeons and no rabbits, which is poor even by my standards. So I suppose that if you work out how much he's spent on it, it makes grouse shooting look rather cheap, but there we go.
Sometimes it's probably best if you don't do the sums when it comes to pursuing your love of field sports.
It's a dirty job, but someone's got to do it. Now we're hoping for some buck luck.
It's August the 1st, it's 5 in the morning, Dom's got his shorts on and fallow buck are back in season.
I've gone for pretty much a shorts and t-shirt ensemble this morning, in honour of it being 1st of August rather than deep midwinter. But the weather's been great, but there's been a lot of animals out sunbathing and making the most of the nice weather before the harvest. So, got our fingers crossed that we're going to see something this morning.
We're on farmland in Surrey, where the farmer has told us there are herds of fallow crossing his land like wildebeest, and he wants the numbers cut down. But even though Dom is dressed for success, there's one thing that might cause us a few problems. On this side of the farm, it's standing wheat.
If the animals are laying down in the crop, they're going to be very difficult to see, and obviously we have to stick very much to the perimeter of the farm. So we're just going to use the main paths and just try and work our way around. I've been in touch with the farmer and he's given me a good steer on where he thinks the animals have been. So we'll see whether he's good to his word now.
We make our way up along the field of cut ryegrass and come through a wood. Dom spots a doe on the right, but the breeze is definitely stronger up here. She gets a strong whiff of northern bloke and takes off.
When we walked through the bottom field, couldn't feel a breath of wind whatsoever. As we've started to gain a little bit of elevation, it's coming in off my left shoulder and it pushed our scent towards where the deer was. Fortunately, it was only a doe on her own.
Another few yards and there's movement in the crop ahead. Dom hits the deck and tries to get closer. Settling next to the fence line, which we know they jumped, Dom tries to get a lock on their position. He thinks they may be coming back our way, in which case he could have a decent chance as they cross the ride. Dom gets ready. Yet again it's a doe, followed by, oh, there's a surprise, another doe. We know there are more than 2 deer in the group that we spooked. We continue along the field and from deep in the crop there's more commotion and the animals reach the cover of the wood. The damage in this corner of the farm is clear. These large animals do flatten sizable areas of crop.
You can see the kind of damage that a herd of fallow can do to your standing crop just by walking around catching up. Stay still. Where's that come from?
The quiet morning is broken by a rifle shot behind us, not once, but twice. Dom thinks we've helped push the deer in front of the neighbour's high seat.
They say in America, you never want to be on the ground on the first day of the hunting season. And we've just heard a couple of shots ring out just on the neighbouring ground. He's either got multiple deer, or he's not very good. But either which way, he's had more luck than I have.
Finally, Dom spots a pricket by getting above the crop. But he again has bouncers. Between us and him are 2 more does. If they spot us, he'll be off. We spend time avoiding them, and in the process, lose sight of the pricket. What a frustrating morning. In this particular club, the girls are showing off their wares in the middle of the dance floor, and the boys are busy propping up the bar in the shadows. We spot yet another doe before returning to the car, and Dom takes the chance to talk us through some of the kit he's got on test at the mow.
Ordinarily, I'd normally use a single or a double stick. I thought we might be presented with some longer standing shots today, and if that was the case, then this might be a little bit more useful. And it certainly does provide a very stable base. You'd be happy taking shots at longer ranges with this. And in fact, we did have one passage of play where we kind of laid an ambush, if you like. We saw 2 deer working across the field, and set ourselves up where we could intercept them, where they'd cross a grass track, and it was absolutely spot on. And we had 2 easy shots really, but again they were both does. So yeah, good bit of kit. You can swivel the head round. It's obviously camoed up, it's padded as well at the top. It is a little bit rattly, and also I would say Velcro has no place on anything that you're going to be using in the stalking field because it's just so noisy. So the other bit of kit which we've got on test, I picked this up at the CLA Game Fair last week from S4 Gear, binocular harness, but with a bit of a difference. Binoculars can weigh quite heavy, especially if you're stalking for a long time. There's a number of kind of harness type things that you put over to spread the weight across your shoulders, and also in theory to stop them moving around. I've bought them in the past and I've not found them particularly good. I like the look of these. They've got comfortable shoulder straps, all adjustable so you can get a nice fit, easy to put on over a jacket, which some of the elasticated ones aren't. But what I liked about them was binoculars are well protected in the harness, but when you take them out, instead of them being under tension like they are on the elasticated harnesses, you can move them. They're just attached to these cables with the split rings, so you can glass very, very comfortably. And then again, it's very simple to put them in, and then when you're crawling or leaning over, they're fixed to your chest. They're not going to move around, they're not going to drag in the dirt. You're going to be able to look after your binos.
There's only one August the 1st, so we decide to come back later to have another bash. Incredibly, we spot 2 does in the first 5 minutes. One offers plenty of shooting chances, as this time the wind is in our favour. But we are here for bucks, so on we travel, trying to avoid spooking even more female bodyguards. Dom decides the high seat is the best option for us this evening to give us some height over the wheat. As we walk towards it, Dom spots a couple of prickets on the field margin next to some cover crop. But there's another sentry on duty. We manage to avoid her gaze and keep low to try and get within shooting distance. But the group decide to head into the crop. We know they haven't spotted us, so on we go. Dom now regretting his shorts. Mosquitoes and nettles attacking his milky white legs. Slowly we get up and the darkest pricket is looking straight at us. Only the head is presented, and at this distance Dom does not feel comfortable taking a shot. We hear children screaming and chatting in the distance. A warning bark from the doe, and he's off. The wheat and the female of the species has kept the bucks safe. But the combine harvester will soon be heading over to this neck of the woods, and straight after it, so will we.
You've been watching Fieldsports Britain. I'm George Digweed. If you've been watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button now. Thanks for watching.